All right, we should be able to hear him. Say hi, guys.
Hello?
Hey, hello.
There we are. All right, we're here. So thank you everyone who's watching and actually stuck with us during this insanity. We are experiencing not at all heavy storms. In fact, it's a very light rain outside right now. Nothing really to write home about, but because ERCOT is made of, and this is a quote, absolute BS. If the wind just poots on us a little bit, we lose pretty much all our power. Only tonight has decided to be a double biatch, and is only taking away just our computers. So if we go down again, I think that'll be it for the night. I will apologize to all of you in advance, especially to Hawk, who took time off his schedule, but we can't just have the computers go up, down, up, down, up, down. That's not healthy. So hopefully we won't have any more power outages. Let's just keep going.
Okay. So we were talking about Square selling off its Western assets, and we were starting to get into the why they were doing it.
Exactly. And while there is the reason of their stuff that is not their Eastern properties, such as, for example, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, which is more Disney, but those properties, specifically the Final Fantasy franchise, aren't doing as well as their are doing much better than their Western properties are. That is one of the reasons. And it goes to show that there's no company, there's no game company in the world that is immune to all the stuff that's been happening the last 2 years. The industry has suffered because of the pandemic, because of supply chain issues. It has. It's taken a hit. And even megaliths like Square Enix have been hit by it. However, However, there's more than just that. That's not the only reason. Good.
Yeah, market forces aren't the only reason.
Right.
Doc, I believe you had a thoughts on that as to why everything was being sold off like this because when you sell off all these assets you increase your cash flow.
Okay? Oh yeah, completely.
You do increase cash. So they're obviously doing something with the cash.
Yeah, they're doubling down on those NFTs.
Doubling down, tripling down. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. So they're selling off assets in order to fund purchasing virtual assets, like what the NFTs are.
For those of you who do not know what an NFT is, please give me the address of the rock you've been hiding under, because I would freaking love to go there right now. But the reality is this: non-fungible tokens have... Okay, so real talk. A few months ago, Teal and I did a rather deep dive into NFTs.
Yep.
And during that time, we did not defend NFTs, but we defended the technology behind it, blockchain. Because again, technology is not bad, and I will die on that hill. However, since then, NFTs have become massively abused, like we suspected they would. Have become a laughingstock and a joke amongst the entire gaming and game dev community, like we thought they would.
Yeah.
But the big companies are doubling down. And when we were prepping for this stream, Hawk came up with a really, really good reason why. So go ahead, man. That was stellar.
Well, my theory, and it's really the only thing that kind of makes sense on paper, is they're doubling down on it because for the companies, it's still free cash. They pay the amount of money to get the virtual asset onto the blockchain, which is pennies on the dollar for what they're hoping to make off of it. And if they sell even like half of them that they put up there, they're going to make a profit. And all they care about is making a solid profit.
Right.
And if these companies and these assets that they've sold off for, as you said, a song earlier, they're getting a huge influx of cash, which they're hoping to immediately turn around and turn into much more cash. That's the whole reason companies, even though the NFT market is collapsing right now, companies are doubling down on it because they're like, okay, we'll just ride out the storm because once it crashes, maybe then we'll still be able to sell them to the diehard fans or to the collectors or the more niche people that'll buy them, and they're not really losing anything in this.
No,
Correct.
they're not.
Yeah, it's almost like they're investing in something that regardless will give them some kind of return, whether it be a very big return or a smaller but still usable return.
Yeah, It's almost like a guaranteed investment.
I agree. And Hawk, I agree with you. The theory that you've come up with makes the most sense, because if you look back on every single time a technology has been abused by the gaming industry, for example, microtransaction, loot boxes, those things, season passes, it's always been, what can we get the most amount of money for with the least amount of effort? And NFTs, like the others that I just mentioned, don't require a lot of work.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
It just requires idiots to buy it. Hate to say that, but yeah.
Well, if the NFT market would stay true to its aim, which is a marketplace to buy and sell these tokens filled with collectors, that would be okay. But it's not.
Right.
It's trying to take in everything and be everything, and it's just it's impossible to do that.
Right. Like Murder just said, NFTs are peak minimum effort. And Wrath brings up that it costs money to mint one. It does, but compared to how much you can make with one, not even close.
Oh yeah.
Let me go ahead and kind of catch up with chat a little bit, because we've had some people jump in. It's good to see you, Murda. It's good to see you. I think Centaur's already been here. Good to see you, Retro, Roxy. It's really good to see you guys. If you're wondering why we're not in our virtual avatars, it's because the power here is very unstable. But people here are pretty much agreeing with us. They're looking at it. I mean, BG even made the jaded yet potentially appropriate comment that watch FF16 will have NFTs.
Yeah.
AOD, hey, good to see you guys. Yeah, and Kiro, good to see you as well. Good to see all of you. We're kind of loose and informal right now, but the reality is, going back to the topic at hand, Square Enix jumping onto the NFT bandwagon should not be a surprise to anyone, because of the insane amount of money it's been making in the past 6 months since it started becoming a real thing. Yeah, the Red Apes.
I just don't see it's not sustainable. It's just like the .com bubble. It's going to bust.
Exactly. Yep. It's busting right now.
Yeah. It is busting right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Wrath brought up a very good question, Teal, and Hawk. He says, who do you sell NFTs to if no one cares about it but you?
You don't?
Yeah.
The value of an NFT is strictly market driven. It's like art. It's baseball cards. It's, a master tape. The price is strictly driven by the market and who makes up the market. You get a fair shot if it's collectors, but since the current market is everything under the sun, including your dog, you're not going to get realistic pricing at all. And to answer your question, if no one cares about that NFT, they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
The thing is this, and John Oliver put it best when he was talking, when he did his show on cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, NFTs, those kind of things, much like what Teal said, much like art, is the value is decided upon the people who are interested in it. They all agree it's worth this much. That is the essence of decentralization. We decide how much something is worth. How much is a Ruth, for example, Teal, great example. That record that you came across, one with Yoko Ono and John Lennon on it.
Right, that's right, yeah.
That record was worth a lot because people decided it's worth a lot.
That's right.
If someone has a Babe Ruth baseball card, is it really worth anything? Well, to a collector it is. So that's the thing, is that these NFTs are currently worth a lot because people have said they're worth a lot.
Yes.
But as soon as people,
yeah. Well, Caro, yeah. Well, that is the thought. Who wants to collect them though? NFTs, yeah. But again, Caro, you're not a collector. You're like me. You look at these things and you're like, I could color something, right?
Right.
So no, it doesn't mean anything to people like you and me, but to a collector, someone who is into these and wants to have a collection of these things, NFTs are worth something.
Yeah, they're worth something. So, and Kiro also asked earlier, how are NFTs even legal? Okay, so if you're using an NFT, if you're minting someone else's work, then that is illegal. You're stealing their work. And we actually just finished talking about that. But if you're taking an NFT, and a lot of people still don't get what it is, the whole right-click save image, there I just got it for free. The technology behind NFTs, blockchain, make it so that you're basically encoding a serial number or a hash within an item, and that item becomes unique. It's like if you had a baseball card, I can take a picture of your baseball card. I can go make a photocopy of your baseball card, but it's not that baseball card. So an NFT is a legitimate technology, but it is being used very illegitimately, very really just very disgustingly. And it's created a very toxic culture, like someone was mentioning the crypto bros, the NFT bros. It's, who want to just push it and they want to jam it down your throat, and they get legitimately angry if you're not a fan of it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's going to collapse, because people realize it's not worth it. It doesn't have any lasting intrinsic value, at least not at this time.
Not at this time, no.
But people are going to be derisive of it because it's being used by asshats to push forth something that everyone else feels is being crammed down their throat that has no value at all. It's like that guy who comes to your door, ringing the doorbell over and over again. It's Avon calling. It's like that bullshit. Hey, here's this pyramid scheme I joined. You guys can make a lot of money too if you join me. I mean, that's how it looks. Yeah. It literally looks like that.
And that's not even touching the money laundering aspect of it either.
Oh God, yeah. Let me up your volume a little bit there, Hawk.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Which is, it's not a big surprise to anyone who is in the regulatory part of the market.
Right.
Pretty much early on, the people that do this sort of thing discovered that cryptocurrency had this big, nice loophole.
Yeah, it's decentralization, right?
And our I can't speak for other countries' governments, but our government is now scrambling to try to catch up with regulating it. It certainly is hard to play catch up.
It certainly seems that way. We, the United States of America, has always been slow to catch up to technology in general. But this one is, I mean, it really, honestly, anything internet related, but especially anything related to the blockchain, it's like we're going at a very snail's pace, like so slow. And
it is absolutely killing us.
Yeah.
To be going that slow.
Yeah. And I can't imagine it's much better anywhere else in the world, because everywhere you look, you see it. People are sitting here just throwing NFTs and crypto at each other. There was that point. Remember when Dogecoin was really huge?
Yeah, that was supposed to be a joke, actually.
Yeah, right. Somebody created it because it was a joke. It's that meme, a pun on the misspelling of the word doggy, and suddenly people become millionaires with it. I mean, again, it's something was worth that money because people said it was.
Yeah.
That's like printing money. Oh, we don't have to worry about money. We'll just print more. Well, that's not how commerce works. That's not how economics works. And we've watched as people have lost entire fortunes in life savings. And it's just not getting better. So now the problem is, to kind of loop back around to the topic at hand, a company that is beloved, or has been beloved, that made one of the most popular, arguably the most popular RPG franchise in existence, is now diving headfirst into this. And I'll be honest, that makes me feel gross.
I have mixed thoughts on it. Selling off a whole bunch of your assets just to grab onto something like, NFTs. I'm not sure. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't, and especially since they undervalued their asset in order to do this. Oh
yeah.
I can understand selling off things that don't make you a lot of money.
Right.
But the fire sale, that was poor, very poor decision.
It makes me almost wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes, because that seems like it's like a move of desperation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and as we were saying earlier, just kind of loop back around to the very beginning of the conversation, their non-Eastern IPs haven't been doing well. They were not immune to what the pandemic did to a lot of other game companies. Square Enix came out really well on some levels, mostly because of the success, the insanely massive success of Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that can't carry a company.
No, it can't. Not even their flagship franchise can carry the company.
Yeah, it can't. There's just not enough anything. There's not enough people. There's not enough people to play games and buy them and pay money for them. So yeah, I'm wondering why are they, because what this is a retrenchment. So why are they retrenching? And I think part of it is like we were saying, they're in trouble, but they're retrenching, and then they're spending their money on, instead of another property, they're spending it on this thing that already is divisive, extremely divisive, and does not have a very high chance of giving them a long-term return. Yes, blockchain is here to stay. That technology is not going to go away. And anyone who's involved in the tech industry, on the tech side of things, knows blockchain isn't going anywhere. However, cryptocurrency and NFTs, I wouldn't put one dime into those. No. I wouldn't trust nothing. It's just pure speculation. It's like the futures market. And it's not the place where you grow, where you hedge your bets. Yeah, it's just not. We got some good comments here on chat here. First, Kiro. I hope I'm saying your name right. Kira says, I was in a meeting last week and my CEO said that she was looking into crypto to invest then. They pointed at me because I was the only one in the company that they knew who would know what crypto was. Well, my question to you, Kiro, is how did that conversation go afterwards? Yeah, I'd like to know. Yeah. And then Kiro later on says, the fact that Square is doing it makes me wonder why they don't make a lot of money with their IPs as it is. We kind of went over that. I don't think Final Fantasy 14, especially now with Endwalker being out, is making the money that they want it to make. Their sales exploded back in December when they announced Endwalker. But now it's out. And there are people who, like, within a few days of Endwalker being out, completed the main story. So what are they going to do? Continue to do updates? I mean, not an MMO player over here, but after a certain point, if you don't have content to do, and, especially if the story feels like it's over, you might want to move on to something else at that point. Well, I have been reading, and I know this is getting a little off topic, but I have been reading that the MMO model is going into the sunset. That it's actually not as profitable as the game companies had envisioned it would be. And no one has been able to replicate the success of WoW. And gaming companies are now starting to think, okay, we need to find a better outlet for our assets.
I see that.
Yeah, I see that. Well, I mean, let's talk about the kind of games we like to play that would have residual income. All three of us, and I'll start off. I love the co-op match bases. I know I used to have this huge boner for Phasmophobia. It's calmed down since then. I play other games usually on VR chat, but I love the idea of playing a game that, you know, is quick. Maybe the match lasts about up to 30 minutes, and I play it with friends. Yeah. And I'm seeing that kind of the direction that I'm going in if I don't want to do, you know, a single player open world game like Skyrim, which is my drug. So I like those. So the next Phasmophobia that comes along, the next Forewarned, the next Midnight Ghost Hunt, those are the kind of things I think I see myself going to. What about you guys? What are the kind of games that you would have to play residually? What do you like?
Well, I actually like the logic casual games. I'm finding myself playing those a lot, and the games that I'm playing are not the gotchas. What do you say, microtransactions? They don't do microtransactions.
Gotchas, the gotcha games.
Yeah, they don't do gotchas. You pay for the game, you've got it, and then if you want new content, then you download and pay for the new content, or not, because the original game is good in and of itself.
What you, Hawk?
I have a very eclectic taste. I'm all over the place when it comes to games, honestly. I like just about anything. But I tend to focus more on the single player story heavy experiences, though. That's kind of my jam. But I've played everything from MMOs, hardcore, all the way up to, you know, hidden object games. So if it's something that I enjoy, I'll play it.
What would bring you back to a game repeatedly?
If it has basically anything from software makes. I'm a huge fan of the Souls games.
Yeah.
And I like clones from other companies. You know, they kind of do new things or interesting things or whatever. I mean, I even liked Lords of the Fallen, which is probably one of the worst AAA Souls games ever made. I mean, it was mediocre at best, which is okay for a Souls game. But
right.
I think only diehard fans would even kind of enjoy that game even a little bit.
Right.
But it's I don't know. I think it's the comfort of, like, I go back and it's like, okay, I know this kind of game. I know this kind of mechanics. I'm going to be able to at least do pretty okay in it. I really like the emergent storytelling, how they don't really give you the story. You got to go and find it on your own by either reading items, interacting with different NPCs in different areas. I don't know, just something about the Souls games is kind of like comfort food for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a huge Demon's Souls fan. I've never been much of the actual Dark Souls. I should probably one day buy and play Dark Souls 1 because it's only Demon's Souls. Yeah,
highly recommend it.
I've played Demon's Souls and I've played Bloodborne, and I could not do well in Bloodborne. But but here's the thing is, and I'm looking at what chat's saying. And first off, AOD's correct. Endwalker's not the end of Final Fantasy 14. It's the end of that main story arc. They're going to do another one. But it has a definitive end. You beat the final boss of Endwalker, and you could technically walk away if you wanted to. But other people are talking about roguelikes, games like Beat Saber, etc., Lost Ark. And all of those are just awesome. And here's the thing, and I'm seeing this pattern. Any game where the creator can put out either extra content, like over and over again, like new Beat Saber maps, new puzzles for your puzzle games, Teal, new maps or ghosts for Phasmo, or anything like that. Or in the case of Hawk's game, games that all by themselves have a very powerful core gameplay loop and lend themselves to playing multiple times because there's multiple ways to tackle each problem, i.e. a game that just follows good game development best practices. They don't need to have all this extra stuff lumped on it. NFTs, marketplaces, microtransactions, they're not needed. If you have a solid game and you can put out content for your players, or the player feels the desire to come back and replay the game, won't that game just continue to make revenue?
Yes.
So
yes, it will.
I would actually argue no.
Okay.
Unless there's like if you keep going back to a game where there's no transaction happening. I mean, sure, you go back to that game. Oh, I love that game. I keep replaying that game. But the company itself is not making any money off you continually playing it. Sure, there may be, say word of mouth. Oh, hey, what have you been doing? Oh, I've been playing Bloodborne again. Oh, cool. Maybe I should go pick it up. But then you're only going to be able to find a used copy. So I can see why companies do have the things like the DLCs and the microtransactions, or they'll come out with sequels, kind of quickly, maybe a little too quickly. So that would be my kind of counterpoint to that. Like, there's a possibility to get revenue from continued play because, hey, I'm going to talk about it and my friends are going to want it. And let's say it's on a digital marketplace that you can easily buy it from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not going to be as steady as, say, something with microtransactions or loot boxes or a sequel or a DLC.
I agree. I agree. That's a very good point.
Yeah, it is.
And you could take some of those games and put small things in there, small mini DLCs that add value, or major DLCs. Like, don't they have DLCs to Dark Souls?
Oh, they sure do. Every game has had one, except for Demon Souls, and then Elden Ring, just because it just came out. So
yeah, so you can work on it, on having a game that, although you are correct, you can still find a way to continue to monetize it. But none of the things that you're mentioning, none of the things Teal or I or chat's mentioning, require you to use things that basically abuse your players who are just looking for that dopamine release cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Because nothing says you have to buy the DLC or buy those microtransactions to enjoy the core game.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. DLC can be cool, says Dras. It doesn't interest, and some people love it. Like, there's some games that I will buy them just so I can also get the DLC. And there are other games that if I look at, this is the big reason I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3. I want to see how that story ends, but I'm furious that you have to get a DLC in order to see the epilogue. To me, that's a slap in the face. So, I'll eventually do it. But, and then you got DLCs that breathe a life into a game series that no one's ever had. Like Leaf, Murda just mentioned, Tiny Tina. Tiny Tina is a character in Borderlands 2 that her popularity was so great that the Attack on Dragon Keep and the new one, I think Wonderland. I mean, it's Borderlands, and yet it's gone straight up high fantasy. So you can generate revenue without reeking your players over the coals.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
So to kind of cycle back again, and chat, you guys have been really good. We're not skipping you guys. We will catch up if we can. But the thing is this. What Square Enix is doing is the kind of thing I would have expected from EA. Like, I can see in my mind's eye EA doing this bullshit.
Yep.
But not Square Enix. And it just goes to show that just like no company is immune to the negative effects of the pandemic and the negative effects of supply chain, no company is immune to the greed that comes from exploitation. And that's sad.
Yeah. And I think that's at the crux of a lot of this is greed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, AOD just said it. Why respect people when you can make more money? That is, and that's where we're at, unfortunately. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Ataku, good to see you. We have had a very good deep dive into starting with why Square Enix sold off their Western properties, to NFTs and the problems that NFTs and cryptocurrency, crypto bros and NFT bros are causing, to the fact that the industry is becoming greedy despite evidence that they don't need to be.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing we've talked about. And this has been a real good deep dive. Earlier when we lost power and we got knocked out of our virtual avatars, my first thought was, well, there goes another Thursday. But I think in the end, this was a blessing in disguise, because we were all able to take off all the flash and the glitz of our virtual selves. And the three of us with our chat were just having a conversation about something that affects all of us.
Because it does affect all of us. You just, everything is interwoven in the market, and this is going to affect pricing. This is already affecting prices for your games, availability of your games, the quality of your games. It's all interconnected.
It's all interconnected. Gallus brought up a really good question, and it's one that does kind of strike at my heart personally. He says, could the reason be as simple that the people running the industry now are not gamers? So, I mean, everybody here knows me. You all know that back in the late aughts, so 2008 to 2010, I worked for two studios down here in Houston, the Laser Shot and Time Gate. And I have seen firsthand what happens when people who are non-gamer types are running studios. I'm not going to say which one, but one of them had someone who was, I'm not kidding this, a verified hunter bro type who would talk about he's going hunting later with his kid. This person did not know how to run a game studio, and it showed. And the problems that this game studio constantly had showed. So there is an element of that, Gallus. There's a huge element of people running the industry have no idea how games work. There's also an element of greed, because you can take any person, you start giving them millions and millions of dollars, they're going to change. They're going to change.
Well, companies who are become corporations, they're incorporated, and they're now beholden to their shareholders. Yeah. So the shareholders call the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you have to do this so we make profit.
Yeah. Or we're not going to give you any more money.
Fiduciary responsibility is the reason that the person who invented electric cars as a brand is now going to own the most powerful social media site in the world.
Yep.
It's because of fiduciary responsibility.
I have so many thoughts on that.
If you are a publicly traded company, if you have shareholders, they own you. People who are not in business don't realize that. And the only reason I know this is because of Teal. If your company has shareholders, that board of directors, those people who represent the shareholders, own your ass. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how powerful you are.
Management answers to them.
Yeah. Yep. So Gallus is 100% correct. People who run people who run game studios are not gamers. The people who make the decisions in the game industry are not people who know how video games are made. And you just complicate that with an ass ton of money and a bunch of shareholders who just care about the bottom line. What a grim ass view. When did this get like Game of Thrones grim dark?
We've been dystopian for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you guys have any other topics, that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to probably go ahead and wrap this one up and maybe wrap up for the night, because you never know when the power is going to go out. And to be honest, this has been an insanely good topic. But really, if you look at it from every possible angle, we've talked about this, the indie studios, they're what can rescue the industry. You know, the people who have the money to put out their own games.
Yes.
You know. Oh, Otaku, we're not getting slammed over here, but apparently it's enough to make ERCOT, burp. So yeah, sucks. Power's been going out.
Yeah, it's just been going up and down. I guess one of my final thoughts on all this is no, the entertainment industry is now a big business. And it's been a while, several decades, but it's now big business. Gaming was the last entrant, the latest entrant into the big business of entertainment, but they're here, and so now they're doing what radio, what music, and what movies, what television has done before. Yeah. And that is to commoditize the product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a gamer is now a consumer.
When we weren't.
No, you weren't.
You weren't
Before, but now you are.
KV brought up a good question, and maybe we can talk a little bit more on this before we call the stream. But KV's saying we've talked about how AAA companies have been doing poorly. How have indies been doing during this time? You guys want to chat about that a little bit? Talk about indies?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So to answer your question, no one has been doing better or worse than they've been doing. You can't just blanket say AAAs are doing bad and indies are doing good, or vice versa. It is coming down to a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some indie games over the course of this pandemic that have flourished and done extremely well. Phasmophobia went from being a game that people just played with a very small group to being so big they had to be kind of bought out and rebuilt. Hades, I think, wasn't Hades indie?
Oh yeah.
That exploded. That totally exploded. So yeah, they're indie Deltarune, the quote unquote sequel to Undertale, Toby Fox's latest game. So yeah, definitely indies have done well, but I don't think that they're in a better or worse place than anyone else, because it's really, and I think that people tend to forget because of the hype that goes out and the influencers on YouTube and Twitch. But ultimately, video games, much like music and much like film and television, is a consumer-based market. We decide what's successful because it's all put out there, and we decide what to purchase and what to consume. So if you're out there and you're an indie dev and you want to make money, obviously follow the best practices that are taught, not just by us, but by anybody. Obviously have a good core, good gameplay loop, have, make the game fun to play, etc. But also hope that the gods of fortune are watching you, because there is an element of luck in it.
There is an element of luck.
Yep.
Yeah.
BG said, we have a joke that RPG Maker deving is a way to make dozens of dollars.
Oh, no. Thank you for that one. Okay. Yeah.
But it's true. And Dras is saying there's a bigger market in general, which helps. But yeah, got to make a damn good game. Yeah. If you want to be a successful dev, make a damn good game, the best you can possibly make. Get it out to the right people and as many people as you can. Spread the word. Keep talking about it, but don't cram it down people's throat. And hope that people like it, and then listen to their feedback. What do they like? What do they don't like? You could release the best game in the world, and if it doesn't strike with people, then it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I could poll the audience. I could ask chat right now. I could ask Teal and Hawk right now. What are their favorite indie games that are currently out there? And we're all going to give different answers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wildly different.
Because each and every one of us have different things that they like. I'm not, my Steam suggested list based off of what I browse is going to look completely different from y'all's. Ergo, the games that I'm going to buy is going to look completely different. So indie game developers, you can't create something and just hope that it's going to catch on fire. You got to create something for your market. And Teal, you talk about that all the time. You're finding your right audience.
I do. And this is also, this is interesting. You listen to the words that I use. Find your market, find your audience. Do your SWOT analysis. What does that sound like? Corporate.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a reason why people go to school for 4 to 6 years or 8 years even in business so they can learn how that shit works.
Yeah.
I think each and every one of us can kind of say with certainty, and all three of us can say with certainty, there's no one thing, AAA, indie, MMO, co-op, battle royale. There's nothing that if you enter into it, you're guaranteed success, and that is above the fickleness of the market.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
But that was a very good sort of postscript question there, KV. I really appreciate you bringing it up. All right. It is almost 9:30 our time, well, 9:25 our time. The rain has died down, but I have a sneaking suspicion that we're not out of it yet, and I do not want the stream to pop again on us. So I do think it's in the best interest to kind of call things for now. Hawk, thank you for being here. It has been awesome. I loved having you. I would love to have you back. You have been just a fantastic guest.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yep. And I want to thank each and every person here who's been there. I know some of y'all have been throwing out comments. We have not been quite as active as we usually are because this was a really in-depth conversation. Brian types code. Good to see you, Brian. Good to see you. He said, I came across an architect on YouTube posting his pixel art. He crowdfunded his game, Chef RPG, and Kickstarter. Had a really good response. You never know. You literally never know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and call it now.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and do this low-key, guys. I just do not have the energy to shout anymore. So we love y'all, and we'll definitely do this again. And let me show you the right buttons. If you like what you saw, lay the smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over, you know what? No, I don't want to do that like this. I don't want to do a shout out. You know what? Let's just say goodnight and end the stream normally.
Okay.
Say goodnight, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Gracie.
Peace out. Stay awesome.
Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that.